variation. Meanwhile, Sky just using his Zeppelin, he could be harassing Moon at this point, but he's not. Instead, he's just creeping up. Maybe he's picking up a he wants to pick up a couple of mercs, and then we'll go harass. But Sky does have two berserkers now, and those berserkers can do a lot of damage, especially to the hunters and dryads, which Moon's likely to have a lot of at this point. And meanwhile, Moon does have a Ancient of Wind though, so that will be a very nice counter. He did get that Zeppelin early, and so that will be a very nice counter. And meanwhile, Moon has now scouted out this creeping with his Demon Hunter, and Sky being forced to run away, but he has now finished his creeping, so it's certainly not too bad for him. But the Panda is managing to creep up. He's still quite low at 3, but certainly every little bit of experience counts for something. And so Moon now just solo creeping his Demon Hunter, unfortunately getting slowed at the last second there, managing to get a Tome of Intelligence. Not a brilliant item, and actually attacking the Frost Armored one first. That's pretty careless by Moon, but certainly it won't slow him down too much, but every little serve is worth something. And fast tech to tier 3 by Sky, and so I think we are seeing at least one workshop going up here. I imagine we'll probably see some more of the expansion. That's generally the place you want to build it, because you do generally have a fairly fortified main base as well as militia and stuff like that, and so you want to generally fortify up your expansion as much as possible. And we're not seeing a second workshop out there. We are there, and so I think we're probably going to see 3 workshops and then lots of tanks. And I think one important thing about tanks is that you can't go tanks forever, really. I mean, you can sort of win the game with tanks, but against a good player you often will need to switch up to sort of air or something. It's going to be really important for Moon to scout out if Sky's going to be making the transition, so he knows to build either more hippogriffs or more dryads or whatever, just to counter out whatever Sky's going for. And meanwhile, Moon is now putting up 2 Chimera Roosh. This is, I remember this bit from the game. Obviously this game was a very long time ago, but Moon goes for very fast Chimeras, and that's really surprising. I don't think that's something Sky's expecting. Obviously they're built in a very unexpected place, somewhere where the Sky's not likely to scout, and Chimeras are actually alright against tanks. I mean, they're not brilliant, but certainly they do a fair bit of damage, and also they're just pretty surprising, and it's going to mean that Sky might want to switch to Dragonhawks a bit earlier. Or you can see he's built one flying machine, but that's really just for scouting rather than for attacking other air units, although it does have that advantage with various hippogriffs around here. And meanwhile, Sky continuing to use his Zeppelin to creep out pretty well, and actually leaving 1 footman behind. I guess he decides actually no, he goes back for it. He must have just forgotten it. I thought he might have just not wanted to have risked losing the Zeppelin over water, but it seems that that wasn't the case. And meanwhile, Moon has 2 hidden huntresses. He has Richard's backpack as well, but I think he's just hiding these just for some scouting. And Blood Mage second for Sky. Obviously Blood Mage has become very popular in recent days, a month or so, just because especially with the Mount King, I think, because it's very nice just to get so much mana on the Mountain King. Obviously it's sort of like an Archmage in terms of it gives your Mountain King more mana. Apart from it, you can just really stack up the mana on your Mountain King, and it means that you don't get the Water Elemental or equivalent, but certainly it works alright for its purpose. And meanwhile, Moon now putting up a couple Ancient of Wars in his base, actually at both bases, and actually I'm putting up another expansion as well here, and Sky scouting out that there is an expansion at this side, and so you might actually select the Moon scouting in the opposite corner. But really against tanks, there's a couple things you want to do, and Moon sort of really is the innovator of the current strategy, which is if there's a merc camp, you want to get at least 1 mud golem and just put it around your base just for slow. You want to get generally 1 dot for fairy fire, because obviously armor is so important for those tanks. If you can reduce that armor, that's really good. And then you want to get lots of Ancient of Wars, uproot them, and then sort of really just put them around your tree, actually, as you can see Moon's doing here, just so that you can really you can stop any sort of attack, even if they use a Zeppelin, because you can put 2 tanks in a Zeppelin and then just drop it outside the base and just take it out from that end. And so that's something you do need to watch out for. And so really having a solid defense is so important in this situation. You know, Moon getting mana burnt, but actually, or siphon mana, but mana burning back, so really just everyone losing mana in this situation. And Panda taking a lot of damage, but is just being healed back up. And these 2 siege engines unfortunately are scouted out, but Sky now for the first time seeing that Moon's gone for Chimeras, and they are 2-1 upgraded as well at this point. But what is this here? Zeppelin now out for going down for Sky, and 1 siege engine being brought in, and I'm a bit surprised by that, because generally you don't want to just bring in 1, because that's really not strong enough to do anything, and trying to take down this Ancient Protector. But it certainly won't do too much. You can see Moon does have this one dot in here, and yeah, he does have one in his main base as well, obviously just for that fairy fire. It's so useful to really lower their armor and also get vision on their units, but and see where the siege engines are moving, but mainly it's just for reducing that armor. And Moon now coming in with his Demon Hunter level 5 in a bit already, and he does have an expansion here, and I think Sky must not have scheduled it out, because he would have just sent the siege engines there, because there's no protection here. And Sky meanwhile massing up more towers that this expansion here. I think we'll put down an expansion here, and so every mine on the map will be mined out simultaneously. I guess he doesn't have the, no, he doesn't quite have the gold yet, but he's getting there. And so he decides not to waste the time with his peasants and just harvests a bit of lumber. That's pretty good sense. And you can see Sky has done a very quick transition to Dragonhawk Rider, just because of those chimeras, I think. But I'm sticking with some tanks as well, and I think that's probably the best choice for him at this point, because those chimeras, you certainly can't focus your entire army taking them out, but they can do a lot of damage, and obviously they're 5 foods. If you completely negate them with just 2 food worth of units, that's certainly something that's worth doing, especially if you're on equal economies like they are pretty much, or will be very soon. And you can see a mud golem here for Moon. I'm not sure if he has one in his base. Yeah, he does have one in his main as well. So I'm exactly following his sort of standard strategy with the exception of the chimeras. And 5-4 for Moon compared to, I'm not sure where Sky has gone for, a paladin third, and 4-1-1 for Sky. So certainly the hero advantage to Moon, but that's something you certainly should expect. And some nice harassment there by Moon, just being sort of opportunistic, taking out a couple peasants where he can. And Sky overextending himself a bit. He really shouldn't be within the range of the Demon Hunter, and actually getting mana burnt as well. So the Dragonhawk Rider down to 300 hit points. Doesn't have the Animal War training yet, but it might get it later on. And Roar now being used, and obviously Roar on Chimeras is just brilliant. You can see plus 26 damage, 3-1 upgrades at this point, and I think that's very nice for Moon, just because it's actually one siege engine here getting a bit caught out, and Moon putting up a couple Ancient of Wars just outside his base now. This has now been scouted out by this one flying machine, which has now just researched bomb, but that flying machine taken down so quickly. Obviously Hippogriff's very good against sort of single air units. It's when it's something like mass flying machines, or lots of Dragonhawk Riders that they can really fall into trouble. And we actually do have a lot of flying machines here from Sky, and so we are seeing sort of a quite aggressive airplay. But we only 2-1 upgrades still from Sky, and that's a bit surprising, because generally on siege engines you want to sort of make the most of your massive economy and get sort of 3 upgrades or something pretty close to that. But I'm a bit surprised that he has, and maybe he'll go further in a second. But Moon now being a bit harassed here. Obviously one of the big things about going for tanks is that you can really attack on sort of 3 fronts, and it doesn't require too much micro, whereas the elf has to really micro quite a bit, make sure that all the right trees are eating, or all the right ancients are eating trees, and all the right focus is going down on just one tank and stuff like that. And so it's really advantageous for the human to attack on as many fronts as possible. Very nice breath of fire there by Moon, managing to hit a lot of units, and it looks like we are going to see a bit of battle here. And Sky just knowing that he can't win this, Moon has just gone for the mass hippogriffs. Generally this is something where you actually either have to go completely all in or not at all, and that Moon's just gone all in for hippogriffs at this point. And Moon meanwhile at 81 food, that's a bit careless by him, and Sky at getting Animal War training, Sky at 76, so Sky playing a bit more cleverly in terms of economy, but Moon will probably just detonate a wisp or something as soon as he realises this mistake, because you really don't want to be losing all that food, and it's actually better to take one off gold and detonate it in terms of economy. So also means your mine lasts longer. And Moon, yeah, is now down to 80 food. He's noticed this mistake, and Sky continuing to harass, does have 3 ivory towers, and this is obviously if you can just place down some ivory towers in a slightly out of vision place, and then while you're distracting somewhere else, and then just slowly creep into your opponent's base, that's certainly something else that's valuable. And Moon does now have a dot and a mud golem here. I wonder if he's just transferred them. Yeah, he's just transferred them from this middle one. I'm guessing he thinks that Sky's not going to bother attacking this middle one, or he's less likely to, just because it's so much further. And Moon does have this scout here, so he can move his mud golem and dot if he really needs to the middle base. He'll know what's coming unless it's a Zeppelin drop, in which case that's quite an expense anyways. And Sky now coming in with 1 siege engine. I'm surprised by Sky's play here, because generally you want to bring in somewhere between sort of 3 and 6 siege engines into an individual base just to actually make a difference. It looks like you might manage to take down this Ancient of Wonders if Moon isn't careful, but that's certainly at the end of the world for Moon. Ancient of Wonders are so cheap that it's really not too big a deal. And Sky, meanwhile, does have a pretty hefty air army here, and so maybe I guess he's just trying to distract Moon, and Moon now doing a reveal on the base. Obviously, he just wants to see what Sky's building, but nothing being constructed. Some workshops going into being used just immediately afterwards, and another reveal here. I assume that's by Moon again. Obviously, Moon doesn't quite know what's going on. Very nice Breath of Fire there by the Panda. Only level 4, so only level 2 Breath of Fire, unfortunately, at this point, but all of Sky's air army being caught up by the 2 elf heroes, and we haven't yet seen a third hero from Moon. I guess we're not going to see it in the end. Moon, I've seen Moon ghost things like Naga second and Panda third versus tanks, and really to great effect, because that Frost arrow is very nice. And Moon with Moon, I think, bringing in his entire army here, and casting Roar, so it looks like he might be going in for some attack. He is at 79 food, and you can see he does have 1,000 gold and 2,000 lumber, so he's looking to sort of lose a couple units and then rebuild. You know, Sky actually 1,600 gold but only 500 lumber, so still both of them very nice economies, both of them at 80 food, and perhaps one of them